Welcome to The Grant, the EU funding podcast. The Grant.
My name is Niels Tudor Winter, and I'm the creator, editor, and host of The Grant. The Grant is an independent podcast initiative with the ambition to dig into all corners of the EU R&D funding system on topics of interest for the full EU R&D funding community. Don't forget that there is a The Grant mock-up for the best comment, question, or shared insights on communication strategies. Check out my new short series on communication strategy for details on thegrant.eu. Approaching the ERC funding scheme not only includes preparing a proposal. If your proposal is selected for the next selection stage, you are invited for an interview in front of a panel. This ERC interview naturally is of massive importance in order to land the ERC grant. Some time ago, a listener requested that I would record an episode zooming in on the interview and how to approach it. So, here it is. Of course, I have reached out to an experienced expert to take us all through the details. Yasmin Wachs, senior consultant at Enspire Science, has been supporting researchers for more than a decade on how to approach the interview. This is a double episode, and in the first half we focus on the most important part, the preparation. Now, please enjoy.
The Grant.
Welcome to The Grant, the EU funding podcast. Now, today we're going to have one of these instructive episodes where you get a guide. And we're going to talk about the ERC interview today. And I have a guest. I have an expert on these things. So, Yasmin, welcome.
Hi, Niels. Happy to be here. Thank you.
And happy to have you here. So, for you, dear listeners, for your information, we're recording on New Year's Day.
Mhm.
Yeah, 31st, last day of
Yeah.
the year of 24, which is nice. It's a nice way to start this last day. Yasmin, before we do anything else, can you please introduce yourself to dear listeners?
Sure. So I'm Yasmin Wachs. I'm a senior consultant at Enspire Science. We're a consultancy and training company assisting researchers in applying to EU-funded grants. We specialize in the European Framework Program, but we have a special expertise in ERC, and we've been involved in ERC since it began. I'm personally involved in ERC since 2011, so I've seen quite a lot of applicants in their journey to receive and develop their ERC ideas. From concept and through the interview and until they receive it. So I hope I can share my experience with your listeners.
Yeah, so that's that's naturally why. So I reached out to Yoram, who regulars will know from earlier episodes in this podcast. Also, you are one of the companies that has been partnering up and developing episodes together with me for you. Now, so we are well acquainted, the Grant and Inspire Science. Shortly on the ERC interview, so I received a request from a listener to dig into this, and naturally. Why? Because it's of crucial importance when you write the ERC proposal and to winning it that you pass through this interview successfully. So so I have done nice introduction episodes and nice digging into depth episodes about the ERC, how to work with it, the narrative, and so on. But the interview I haven't covered. So that's what we're going to do today, because it's of course a crucial part in the if you sit and listen to this podcast as a source, that you go through the other things on how to write proposals and shape things and so on. But then you also need to have a little bit of information about this. So,
Right.
So a short fly-in on the interview.
So maybe we should kind of crash course on the evaluation process of ERC.
Yes.
Yes. So the ERC has a single deadline by which two main documents representing the proposal are submitted, as well as technical annexes, the budget, all the information the applicant is asked to provide is sent on the deadline. Then we go through a two-step evaluation process. When we're talking about the individual grants, the synergy has 3 steps. In the first step, only the shorter version of the proposal is evaluated, and the PI's CV and track record. Proposals that are ranked high enough pass to the second stage. This is 44 proposals per panel are selected to pass to the second stage. Then those that don't pass to the second stage are ranked, and some of this ranking could affect their prospects of submitting again in the next deadlines. So these 44 proposals that pass to the second stage are then evaluated in full. So both parts of the written proposal are given to the panel members. Sometimes external reviewers as well are reading the written proposal. In parallel, people are receiving feedback, and the fact that they have passed to the second stage is communicated to them. And they get an invitation to participate in the interview. So this is happening in parallel. The interview is part of the second stage of the evaluation. The interview is online. They meet their panelists, their panel members online. And the panelists ask them questions. They're asked to present themselves, to present the proposal. They are asked technical questions that might have been sent by external reviewers, which are not present in the interview. And the summary of this interview affects the final ranking of the proposal and the decision of the panel whether or not this proposal is finally funded.
Yeah, that's a nice short fly-in. So let me see. I'm just gonna check here. Naturally, is this a little bit like a job interview? How does that work?
In some ways, it might seem like a job interview, yes, because you're in a way selling yourself as the PI. The ERC is a personal grant, right? So a lot of weight is put on the PI as a person, as a researcher. It's not only the research; it's also whether or not this is the right person to lead such research, whether or not this is a person that has the set of tools to provide significant breakthroughs in this field, whether this person is suggesting something that is very well tailored to their capacity, to their previous experience, and so on. So in a way, yes, you are also selling yourself. In a way, it is similar to a job interview. Also, it's very short, so there's a lot of thought needs to be given into what information I can convey in such a short time. And in that sense, it's not like giving a lecture where you have 1 hour, 1.5 hour, or when you teach students, then you have maybe weeks to cover a certain topic. Here you have a few minutes.
In other words, a little bit uncomfortable for many researchers.
That's true. Yes, that's part of I think maybe the most challenging part for researchers is to try and crystallize or get the essence of the proposal across in such a short time. So indeed, this is very unlike what researchers are asked to do in their day-to-day life, where they can give talks that are not limited or not as limited as this interview is. So I think that's maybe another similarity where you have to pitch yourself, you have to pitch your research and convince about its excellence and why it should stand, or in what way it stands out as compared to other projects and researchers that are competing with you in the same panel.
All right. Let's hit the different phases here of how to approach this then, because naturally, just by this, it's short. You need to be super sharp on your message, and it's vital that you come through with this because it is decisive for you to get your ERC grant. Yeah.
That's
so
true.
There's some
Yes.
key what do you say things of importance to be aware of and to shape people up a little bit. Now, let's start with how would you prepare for this. So let's move into the preparation for the interview block.
Maybe just another word about the importance. I think another thought crossed my mind on this issue. Not a lot of grants have this opportunity to meet the people that decide whether or not you get it. So I think this should also be seen as an opportunity because there is room for discussion, although not room for written correspondence on you wrote this, where can you bring me references to this and that. These are more conceptual questions on the project, but still you have the chance to discuss key issues and to see if maybe they misunderstood something you wrote, and you have an opportunity to rectify that. You have an opportunity to tell them things that are new since you submitted. There is a time gap between the deadline and when you meet the panel members for your interview. Many things can change, evolve. Maybe you've got new results to discuss. So I think this really should be seen as an opportunity to meet the people and to face to face. Although it's online, right? But in a way charm them and open this scientific discussion about this exciting project, to show enthusiasm, to show how passionate you are about this project. And I think this is an amazing opportunity to affect the evaluation process.
You know what? This is actually one of the key elements of the Horizon Europe, or the framework program funding sections, where you have the most critical voices about the fact that you hand in a proposal that takes some 6 months. 6 months to prepare. You have maybe 30, 40 people in combination across the consortium that works on this for months. And then you hand it in, and the only thing you get is a evaluation summary report on a couple of pages.
Yes.
And majority of those handed in, they do not get funding, and you don't have any chance to have a conversation about what you did, why you did it, clear up misunderstandings, whatever. So I think this is actually something that's very, very, it's very, very good. It should be, anybody out there of you, dear researchers, that going for this, take this as not as a as a horrible thing, but as a wonderful thing that you actually have had this opportunity.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. thanks for this point. Now, the preparation for the interview. Now, you've been working with this so many years.
Yes.
Now, how do you work with your with the researchers when you have to set them up for this? Can you?
Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the technical stages. You first get a letter from the ERC saying, "Hey, you've passed to the second stage. Congratulations." This is a letter addressed to you by the panel that eventually evaluated your proposal. Note, an important note, when you apply to the ERC, you select a panel, your preferred panel. So you indicate a preference. In most cases, this is the panel that eventually evaluates your application, but in some cases, panels can decide to move your proposal to another panel. So in this instance, when you get an invitation or a notification that you will be invited to the interview, you are addressed by the panel that eventually evaluated. So this is the first indication whether you got this preferred panel or not, and they're just notifying you. The second email that you get, sometimes weeks apart, it contains more technical information. It contains the dates. It contains some technical instructions on what would the panel allow. Will they allow a PowerPoint presentation? How many slides? What proportion of the time would be dedicated to the presentation, and what would be dedicated to questions and answers. So you get the second letter. So when preparing, you just need to be aware that there's going to be these two communication milestones. And it's important to wait for the second milestone, or at least keep in mind that the second milestone is important when preparing, because some people think, okay, interview, let's prepare 30 minutes of a presentation. And then they get the second letter indicating that they have only 2 minutes and they're allowed only one slide. That's a disappointment, and I'm talking about and I'm talking about a real case that we had a few years back. So it's important to keep in mind that the ERC will notify you about all these technical instances in the second email that you'll get, and that will instruct you on what to prepare and how to prepare. But even before you get that, so in the time lapse between the first communication and the second, it's important to read the application. First of all, that's the first stage. Read what you sent. Some time has passed. You probably don't really remember. You've maybe written more grants in the time that has passed, maybe done more research, of course, done more research, have more results, maybe published, maybe other people have published. So things are happening in the field that you need to be aware of, and kind of refresh your memory on what the reviewers have read. That's the first stage. It's key. It's important. Also, we don't want to be surprised by questions on things that I wrote but I don't remember. So it's really important that that you're very, very kind of acquainted with this with the written application. Once you know the technical requirements, it's time to start building your presentation. Of course, when you build the presentation, you need to mind the time. We know that the presentation itself, depending on the panel, can be between 2 minutes until we've seen 10 minutes, sometimes slightly more. That's the time that is allowed for a PowerPoint presentation with slides. By the way, we have seen instances in which panels request only one slide, or no animations at all. So these are also things to consider when building your presentation. naturally that these are constraints that you need to take into consideration. Sometimes backup slides are allowed, meaning slides that you can use only in case provoked with specific questions, but these are outside of the time that is dedicated to the live online presentation.
Okay.
So think about these.
Let's pause it here a little bit.
Yes.
How do you support the researchers with these specific? These are mind-blowing challenges for many researchers. How do you attack this? How do you help them to fit into this frame that they like many would feel uncomfortable with?
Yes. Okay. So first of all, I think it's important to realize this counterintuitiveness, which is something that is that follows the ERC process from beginning to end. The ERC is asking researchers to move out of their comfort zone on many levels. So this is another level, trying to crystallize and give a very concentrated view of what is important in their project. This is not a presentation that will summarize the whole proposal. There is no point in trying to summarize all the details and everything that you wrote in the application. This is a very short pitch about your high risk, high gain research. It's very it's key to understand that what we need is to convince them that this is an ERC-like project, and to try and dig out or pinpoint and highlight to the panelists why this is an ERC project.
And let's just then backtrack on that. So the ERC, that is the golden standard, right? That's what the ERC does. Yeah, it's top-notch research the Commission wants to fund.
That's true. Yes, but it's not only good research. It's not enough that it's high-level research. It's also a very specific characteristic of a research which is high risk, high gain, very groundbreaking research that can really make significant impacts in the field, change dogmas, present things that were not possible to even imagine before. So in many cases, when we work on proposals, not when we prepare for interviews, researchers say, yes, but this is excellent research. I mean, what's the problem with this? And I say, hey, there's no problem with this, but it can be funded elsewhere. It's not in line with what ERC is asking to fund. So it's important. Now we're talking about proposals that were positively evaluated, right, and selected to pass to the second stage. So in a way, reviewers already recognized the potential of this project to be an ERC project, or they recognize that it is in line with what ERC is expecting, at least in nature or at a conceptual level. In the interview, it's time to understand what these elements in your project are and highlight them, and to not to forget that the context in which this project is evaluated is the context of ERC. So if we wrote an ERC project, or if we conceptualized an ERC project, it is now time to convince them about these elements precisely. And make sure that if we missed something, or if we didn't present something in a way that would be perceived as an ERC-like project, this is the time to rectify this or to strengthen this.
Can you give some concrete examples of what you did? I know, of course, you as a private company, you share whatever you can. Yes, but do you have any concrete examples? How you concretely did this for a client?
So maybe a specific example about this element that I mentioned. So ERC is a personal grant, right? It's not a collaborative project. Putting aside the synergy grant, which welcomes collaboration, when we're talking about the starting, consolidator, and advanced grants, we're not expecting a collaborative project. We're expecting a project that is led by a PI, a leader in their field that can make significant breakthroughs in their field, that has conceptualized a project which is precisely tailored to their capacity, to their previous expertise, and that their career has led them to this project. But collaborators sometimes are needed and welcome in ERC to assist in technical tasks sometimes, to give some input on complementing areas. So in some cases, collaborators are needed and should be part of the project. But if during the interview, a PI that did introduce collaborators chooses to present the project as a collaborative project with equal contribution of all the PIs involved, that would significantly hurt their chances to win the grant. So it's important to remember the context in which these things need to be presented in order to align with what ERC is expecting.
So for a recommendation for the preparation, you want to recommend to focus on as a strategy, you focus on the essential of the ERC, try to zoom out, look at your proposal and what you send in, and then you say, okay, what is important for the board is the part that makes this stand out as absolutely
groundbreaking. Right. And I'm just saying this is kind of this is the mindset in which we need to approach the interview, both in the preparation. When we read the application with fresh eyes, this is what we need to remember. Okay, what are the ERC elements? What made my project ERC? It's also important to keep them in mind when preparing for questions. When I'm answering questions, how do I highlight the ERC essentials, the ERC characteristics of my project when I answer my questions during the interview? Just for example, as an example, don't downplay the conceptual risk of your project. Don't convince them that it's incremental. Yes, for sure, I can do it. I've done this before. It's important to discuss the risk. It's important to highlight the risk. Of course, in a realistic way, right?
Researchers hate this because they think it's gonna, but that's the one kind of universal thing with EU funding, right? So the Commission, it wants to hear about your plan B, C, and D, because but the researchers, they think, I cannot share this because then they won't give me the grant. It's so this is sort of a mind. You need to massage the mind of the researcher. Look, you have to share this because that's what's showing. Because it's groundbreaking, of course, you will run into issues. So how are you going to deal with that, and what are your strategies for that?
Yes, So it is welcome in ERC. This is we're giving you the opportunity to take a risk.
Yeah, exactly.
With the hope that this high risk will bring significant breakthroughs. We're not expecting you to do more of the same. We're expecting you to move out of your comfort zone, and in fact, out of the comfort zone of your field, and take this risk for the hope of bringing science as a whole a few steps forward.
The hope of humanity.
Of humanity. Yes. It is what it is, right? If we're talking about blue sky research, frontier research, this is really pushing the boundaries forward for humanity. And indeed, this is what is the point. Exactly.
Ideological point.
Yes. So during the interview, we don't want to downplay that element. As long as it's in the project, be frank about it, and you can be very comfortable in discussing, yes, I know that I don't yet know what's going to happen, that some of this might not work, some of this can surprise me. There's going to be challenges. We will solve some of them. We will have to be dynamic and think about alternatives as we go along, and that's fine. That's what ERC is about. So that's about a kind of the mindset. That's the first part of the preparation, is getting into that mindset. On practical terms, the first step would be to start thinking about the narrative of the presentation.
Yeah.
Which would help you start building your slides. And unfortunately, I don't have a single recipe or a successful recipe for a good narrative, because another thing about ERC is that no project is the same as the other. PIs are the same, domains are PIs are different, domains are different, and each project is unique. So there isn't one way to do it, but it's important to think of. I can list a few elements that can be important to.
Yes,
or
please.
Might be ideas to include in your narrative.
Yeah.
So one of the objectives is, I've mentioned this in the beginning, is to stand out, right? The panelists are interviewing all the applicants back to back over 2 or 3 days.
Industrialized like this.
Yes. So in a sense, it's really important for you to be memorable and to stick out of the crowd. So try to think of an intriguing or engaging opening, something that would make them click. Okay, this is a presentation I want to pay attention to. I want to pay extra attention to, and to hear. We need to give the motivation, right? Why is this important? Why this project needs to be tackled? Why go there? Maybe some news, things that have changed since the application was submitted, if this is relevant, and if you have time, and if this is facilitating the story of the proposal, of the project. We need to think of key challenges, why this is ambitious, where the high risk is, discuss the hypothesis, why this is hypothesis driven, which is another key element of ERC. In some cases, it would be important to discuss the practical plan. And again, this also depends on how much time you have. If you have 2 minutes, you might not go through all your work packages or elements of the practical plan. But if you have 10 minutes, it's important to discuss methodology. It's important to discuss, to link methodology to the objectives, or why you selected this approach and why it would be relevant to addressing the objectives of the project. Visual elements. Think of any visual representation that could be first intriguing and catch their attention, but also informative, not over complex, so it would take their attention from what you're saying. But if it assists in getting a message through in an intriguing way, in an engaging way, then visual schematics, animations, if they're allowed. When allowed, videos can be very, very important, or a key tool to get the panelists interested in what you're saying. I'm thinking of more elements. In some projects, an interesting setting, or instruments, or assets, infrastructure, things that are unique and very and essential for the project, are also something to discuss if they're relevant. And then try to think how you close your presentation in a intriguing way, in an exciting way, some take-home message, something that would resonate with the panelists as you close your presentation.
Do they know who the panelists are before the interview?
Right. No, so they don't. But again, another preparatory step is to try and assess who they might be, and this is an important suggestion. We know that ERC panelists alternate from year to year. So the panel chairs are published, so you can know who the panel chair will be, but who the rest of the panel will be, you cannot know for sure. What you can do is look at the panel composition from 2 years and 4 years back, and that would give you at least a partial list of people you might meet in your interview. You're welcome to have a look in at the Enspire website. We've created a tool, database of the panel members' names from previous years, and you can have a look per panel per year who the people were, and try to get a picture of who you might meet in the interview.
That's excellent. I will put the link on the episode site. So if you're listening to this right now, there will be a link in the episode notes. If you're listening on Spotify, you go down in the episode notes and you'll find a link, and it will move you to the site of this episode, website of this episode, and you'll find a link to the base. And there's also, I will also put the link to Enspire Science own episodes that they developed together with me. And there's a whole site there where there's more information on ERC, where you can get more content. So yeah, thanks. That's very good. Now, I have a couple of questions. Now, of course, for dear listeners out there, the preparation for the interview is going to be the longest segment, because that's, of course, the most important thing. We will also come through the interview itself and what happens after and so on. But, of course, the most important for you out there is how to prepare for it. That's why it's going to be the longest block. Now, I have a question. So, for instance, how do you, as a professional support, so you have introvert people and you have extrovert people. Huh?
Yeah.
And naturally, that's human psychology, where if you support, so this is maybe for you out there that are also consultants on this, how do you've been working with this for many years, so you know, so you know how to, like the feeling of how to deal with the individual research. And so how do you prepare them differently? How do you support the introverts? Because the extroverts feel, of course, more comfortable with this situation. Is there any recommendations on how to work with this?
Yeah, so I think the best is just to practice a lot and try to start the process as early as possible, not postpone it to the last minute, and get as many chances as you can to present in front of people, and to simulate the interview as close as you can. So once you build your narrative, you prepare your presentation, you think together with peers, colleagues, students, what potential questions could come up. Try setting up mock interviews, as many as you can until the interview, and try to stick to the technical and to simulate the scenario as close as it can be to the actual interview. For example, the system the ERC uses is WebEx. Download WebEx. Acquaint yourself with that. Make sure that it doesn't frighten you and doesn't add more stress when dealing with the technical
very
issues.
Important issue, because that can super distract
yes.
like us all. Yeah, if there's this technical system we don't understand, or if it's some doing stuff that
Exactly. So of course this wouldn't change your nature or temperament, right? But if you practice more, you would naturally feel more comfortable and not rely on improvisation. Really make sure that you know what is the next slide, what is the next sentence you want to say. I'm not saying learn it by heart. It needs to feel natural.
Yeah.
You're not reading off your
Scripts.
notes,
Yeah.
but I think practice makes perfect, or at least as close to perfect as possible. Yes, so ask people to join mock interviews, to ask you questions, and
Do you do this for your clients? Because
yes, we do. We do, and also we also urge them to ask their host institution or their national contact points. Sometimes there are more opportunities available for ERC applicants, and we urge them to take advantage of any of these opportunities to get more chances and to get more feedback and to get more opportunities to rehearse in the same conditions.
Have you ever tried it yourself?
No.
It's a good question, right?
No,
because
I
it's as a
haven't.
consultant, it's
No, my career took that path, not the other one.
It's different. It's sometimes it's researchers that are PhDs and so on, and then they shift to consultancy, and then so they would have been through the grind themselves. But yeah, no. All right, now it's the most important part of this podcast episode. The preparation is. Are we good? Is there anything else? Are there any tools you can recommend? If AI, for instance, chat. Was there anything you can recommend the researchers to help themselves if they cannot afford a consultant, for instance, if they have to sit with it themselves? Are there anything they can do to? Is there any helpful? Are there any helpful websites? Or you have your website with some knowledge database.
Yes. So of course our knowledge base is free. It's open to anybody who is interested to read out articles on ERC and specifically on the interview. The database of the panel members is an important tool, I think, when conceptualizing the narrative or when thinking about how to present my project, it's key to understand who the audience is and where these people come from, what disciplines are or sub-disciplines or niches are represented within the panel that I'm going to present. Understanding this the interests of the audience and their background, what they would understand, how deep can I go with technical lingo, and try to structure that. I mean, again, that's a tool for you to use and an important tip for preparation.
Does the commission does the ERC itself on its website have some preparatory support or help, or is there any sort of do they have a help desk? Well, of course you have NCPs in each country that you can also support you, but there's a limit always to how much they cannot go into super details.
Yes, and there's also a great difference between countries and between regions. Sometimes also some of the host institutions organize internal mock interviews and kind of support sessions for applicants. So of course the opportunities are variable. Not everybody has the same support.
No.
But I think organizing your own mock interview, if you don't have such opportunities, it's important to do this for yourself and to get people to join an online session where you present and where you're asking them to ask you tough questions. This is, by the way, also important for the writing stage. Send your application to peers, have them read it, and have them ask you questions, and see what how this comes across, if people understand it, if you're missing something, if sometimes you're in a blind spot because you think something is clear to you, but you're not getting it across to people that are maybe slightly outside of your niche, out of your small research community.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we dressed you up well out there. Now, let's move on to the next block. That's the interview itself. Now, we've been moving around what it actually is and what actually happens. And here we will be zooming out of the first half of the episode on the ERC interview. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Grant. All the Grant episodes have their own site on the Grant website. You'll find the link in the episode notes where you listen to your podcast. On the site for this episode, you'll find a link to Yasmin's personal LinkedIn site. Further, there are links to my ERC site as well as to the Enspire Science knowledge platform on ERC. Next week, you will get the second half of this conversation where we zoom in on the interview itself and what happens after the interview. You can look forward to that. Now, don't forget to leave a comment on LinkedIn posts for my Communication Shorts episodes. There is a The Grant mock in the pot for the best comment. Now, see you next week.